Alright, welcome everyone. I don't usually make these types of videos, and I don't usually post these type of giant discussion threads, but I'm doing both at the same time right now, so wish me luck. Anyways, earlier, about yesterday, I'd say, I made this post called All Killer Perks Balanced, where I went through and I pretty much talked about every single killer perk in the game almost, probably about 85% of them, and I said how I would personally buff them to make them stronger. Some even got a couple of reworks, but the rework perks are just objectively stronger. Uh, and that's mostly because I was playing Killer a lot more now. I'm still a Survivor main, but I'm playing a lot more Killer, especially Pig. I really like Pig now, even though she's weak. I like having like 3 different tools in your arsenal to kill survivors instead of killers that have like just one thing, and that's all you have. But anyways, when I was trying to make builds for these killers, I noticed that there's really nothing good. There's like probably like 6 or 7 good perks in the game, like actually good ones that'll help you out. And then you look at the perk list, and there's like a million perks, and you just can't even use any of them. They're all terrible, like terrible, terrible. And a lot of them are like decent, but they're not good enough. They all have these weird downsides or giant lengthy cooldowns for just no reason, even if it's not even that strong. So I was just going to go through and talk about every single perk I made here, because a lot of them are really just the cliff notes. I didn't really explain why I made these changes or really exactly how they would work. And a couple of them had like no context, especially Dragon's Grip, but I'll get to that later. So let's start off at the top now. Nurse's Calling. This is kind of like a quality of life buff. It'll help like not super skilled players use it, because a good player with Nurse's Calling, especially if they're a stealth killer, which most people use a Nurse's Calling on, they're just going to be constantly looking around the map or just look at the perk icon to see if it lights up, to see if someone's healing. So I think it's good. A Nurse's Calling is a good perk, mostly on stealth killers. It helps on some other killers too, especially the 24 Terra Medius killers. But a big issue I have is sometimes people will be healing and you don't even know. Sometimes you're like mid-chase, or you're kicking a generator, or you're doing something else and you don't really know. So my idea to make a Nurse's Calling just a slightly better is when someone's healing in the radius and you can physically see their aura, it will play the healing sound to the killer. Like non-directional, just an overlay of the healing sound, like the stitching sound that survivors make. So that whenever someone's healing, like you'll know that they're healing because you can hear it. And once they're done, then the healing sound will just stop. But the range and everything stays the same. No weird cooldown, no weird anything. So this perk stays the same. Now, this is definitely probably the best perk, or probably like the most broken, I would say. I wouldn't even say broken, most powerful perk that I thought of. So let's start off with Beast of Prey. Beast of Prey, terrible perk. Probably 70% of people watching this don't even know what it does right now. It's just, all it does is when you have Bloodlust, you don't have a tear radius. It makes you undetectable. But first of all, if you're hitting Bloodlust, you're probably going to lose the game anyway. And if you have Bloodlust, guess what? You're in a chase. It doesn't matter. You can't sneak up on anyone. You're already in a chase. Completely worth this perk. No one ever uses it outside of Huntress Adept achievements. So my idea would be to make this more of a chasing perk, which it already is a chasing perk, but again, as I said, it doesn't really do anything in chase. So my idea would be every time you hook a unique survivor, kind of like barbecue and chili, you would gain 1 stack of the perk. And every stack gives you a permanent 1% movement speed boost, or haste. So this would help you because a lot of killers, especially killers like Ghostface, Legion, even Pig, a lot of them, they really struggle catching survivors. They pretty much need a chase perk. You even see a lot of good Ghostfaces or Myers use Play With Your Food to kind of harass the obsession and then chase someone else. I think that's a bit strange. I wish there was just a way to just be a little bit faster in the mid game. Now this wouldn't help you at all in the early game. In the early game, you're just still gonna be the normal movement speed 115, some even 110. But as you go on into the mid game, as you hook every survivor a single time, you'll get a movement speed boost. Now this perk is also good because it does not encourage tunneling. You have to spread out your hooks early on. As early as possible, you need to spread out your hooks, which is very important. Additionally, whenever you break a pallet, you receive a 5% movement speed boost for 5 seconds. I mostly just put this in there for like an additional effect to make it a little bit better. It's also because I absolutely despise pre-dropping pallets. I guess I'm playing Pig right now, and pretty much the only use of Pig's ambush is to just ambush around a medium-sized pallet loop, and when people just pre-drop pallets, it really hurts. So if you just get a little movement speed boost after you break a pallet, you can catch up faster. So it'll couple good with brutal strength or fire up some other perks to break pallets faster that you can catch up. So pre-dropping pallets isn't super strong. The servers actually have to play around trying to get the stun on you. Now, Bitter Murmur, even with this change, where it shows the every server's aura when a gen's completed, still won't even be that good. Most people won't use it. The main issue is that you need to lose the game to proc it in the first place. But another issue I have is sometimes when a gen's done, you're just chasing another survivor, and seeing other survivors on the map doesn't really help you at all. So in this case, if you're chasing someone and a gen gets completed, you actually be able to see them for the 5 seconds, which would be pretty good. At least better than it is now. It would still be a niche perk. I know some huntresses like to use it to go to cross-map shots. That would stay the same. You can still do that, but now it just shows everyone instead of the people who worked on the generator. Next up, Blood Echo. Moving the 60-second cooldown. There's no reason to even have that in the first place. I mean, you have to earn the hook to get it. This is not like some random perk that just goes off for no reason. You have to get a hook on someone, and it only affects injured people in the first place. So that's already 2 requirements. I think having a third one, being the cooldown, is just ridiculous. It's too many requirements, too many things happening. And a lot of times you try to get a Blood Echo play, and it turns out they heal like 1 second before you even hook them in the first place. So this perk has some issues. I've only ever seen it on like Legion and maybe Plague. That's really it. Next up, Bloodhound. This perk also kind of rustled some feathers. And some people didn't really like it. So my deal would be you keep like the orange blood, so the blood stays bright and stays longer. That stays the same. But whenever you're within 4 meters of an injured survivor, you get the Killer Instinct notification. This would really help against Iron Will users, especially since Strider's gone now, which is good. Okay, Strider was a stupid perk, especially on Spirit. You could just always hear people. But this would be nice. It would be a Killer Instinct ping like every couple of seconds. It wouldn't be like the Legion one where it's like constant, like you get like 3 pings every 1 second and the survivor's just carrying away. So it wouldn't be constant, so the survivor could still pull off some mind games, but you could kind of generally tell where they were in a loop, especially in like a pallet gym or like a short wall. It would be decent to know where they are. Again, it only works on injured people, so it's not just constantly knowing where it is. I mean, otherwise, I don't see, if you don't have some other good tracking power mid-loop added to this perk, I don't see anyone ever using it. No one uses it now. Even if you buff the duration of the blood to be like 20 seconds, I still don't think people would use it, because tracking blood is kind of just worthless. Next up, Brutal Strength. Make it 30%. 20% is not enough at all. Even when you have this perk, if they pre-drop a pallet and you break it, they still have enough time to just run to the next loop easily, and they can easily get another couple of loops in. So at least this will stop them getting like 1 less loop, or maybe you could even catch them before they get to the next loop, which would be nice. Which would mean that they have to stun you with a pallet, and they could just start pre-dropping safe pallets towards the end of the game, which would be really nice. Claustrophobia. This one got entirely changed. I reworked it completely. It is a bit strong. So my idea was that whenever a survivor vaults a window in a chase, every other window in a 32-meter tear radius or 32-meter radius would be blocked for 10 seconds for that survivor only. So this would essentially only stop a loop that has 2 windows, which is not that many in the game, like maybe the tractor, some main buildings like Grand Pantry. But this would mostly just stop survivors from connecting loops, which on a 115 killer, especially 110 killers with no movement ability, is painful. It is painful to watch someone in a fractured cowshed go from cow tree to long wall to the cart, safe pallet, into shack, into a long wall jungle gym. It is impossible to deal with unless you have some crazy chase power. You'll catch them eventually with Bloodlust 3, but you lose the game at that point. So at least this would just stop you from chaining tiles together. Maybe you could look at the distance, maybe like 16, so it only block like the loop like right next to it, or maybe only make it like 8 or 7 seconds, so server can still play around it. But I mean, the counter to this perk would be you just keep looping the same structure. Like if you're in shack, the window's not going to get blocked by this, it'll just be the other one. So you just keep looping around that, and they can just drop the pallet at the end and run in the next loop, and by the time the killer breaks the pallet and catches up, the windows are going to be unblocked anyway. So this would just stop chaining. This would stop good servers from just ridiculously chaining like 8 loops together. Coulrophobia, I like this one. It's also pretty strong. Let's be honest, no one uses this perk now. It's terrible. The original perk is just survivors that are in your terror radius heal half the speed. It's like, okay, but why don't they just run to the other side of the map where there's a circle of healing boon and then just do it there? Well, That's exactly what they do. So this perk is terrible. Now, I kind of made this to be good with Nurse's Calling. A lot of people don't even use Nurse's Calling anymore. It's just sad to say it used to be really popular. But now, Chorophobia would kind of make that a little bit better. So now my idea would be, when people are inside your terror radius, they actually heal 10% faster. So they get a little bit of a boost. It would also let them know that they have Chorophobia, even if they're healing outside of your terror radius. But now, if they heal outside of your terror radius, it's half speed. Super slow, super slow. If they want to heal, they have to be close to you. Now this could be a bit ridiculous, maybe Freddy, but even in Freddy you can still wake up. Maybe you can make this like 40%, maybe even 30%. I wouldn't go lower than 30%, because this needs to be a good anti-healing build. Don't forget Circle of Healing is just completely ridiculous now. If it's like Auto Haven Wreckers and they just put it up in one side of the map, I'm sorry, Azeroth's resting place, if they put it on one side of the map and you're on the other side of the map, as soon as they get hit, they can immediately run over to the other side of the map and just heal up with Circle of Healing. And if you commit, 3 gens are going to be done. So it's nice to have anti-healing. And this is like interesting anti-heal, because it's encouraging you to stay nearby the killer and just run to this other side of the map. Whereas Sloppy Butcher is really boring. It's just, it takes 20 seconds to heal instead of 16. And that's the entire perk. So next, Coup de Grace. I really wanted a killer perk that would just increase your lunge range, because I think the lunge is actually the interesting part of a lot of killers. It kind of dictates how many loops you can get. So when Coup de Grace came out, it was kind of cool, but it was a limited use for some reason. Like I get that lunging really far is strong, but even if you look at people using Coup de Grace, it's not even that good of a perk. A lot of times I can't even tell that the killer has it for the few killers that even use it in the first place, because a lot of loops are just really strong. If you get Cow Tree, you're not going to get caught with this. If you get Shack and you're good, you're not going to get caught with this. And don't forget, it only increases your range. It doesn't increase your speed. So people can still easily outrun it if they just vault a window, and that wouldn't help at all. So my idea would be, make it passive now. Don't have the annoying, sort of weird, I don't want to lunge, I want to just basic like tap M1 to down this guy, because I don't want to waste it. Because I only have like 1 left and the game's already over, because for some reason you get a token when a gen's completed, so you only get to use your perk when you already lose the game. It's stupid. So it'd just be a passive 20%. Now 20% is not a whole lot, because I believe 20% of 0.3 is like, what would that be? It's like 0.6, so it'd be like 0.36 seconds instead of just 0.3 seconds. Not terribly good. But then the next part, to kind of keep some of the spirit of Coup de Grace, every time a generator is completed, it gives you an extra 5% onto that 20%. So to go all the way up to 45%, which already isn't even as strong as a Myers lunge as far as I'm aware. And you already have to pretty much lose the game to even get that in the first place. So I don't think that's going to even be too good. But this would be actually interesting. I think people would actually use this on some weaker killers. People might actually use this on Ghostface or in Legion, just to get that little bit of boost to lunge past. It would be kind of cool to see, like an actual another chase perk that actually helps your basic attack and isn't like around pallets or windows. Next up, Dark Devotion. It's a fun perk. It's not super strong. It does catch people off guard, especially in solo queue. But a lot of times when you use this perk, you just hit them and then they're on the ground and then you put them on the hook. But by the time you leave the hook, like the perk's already at like 10 seconds left, so it's already gone. Another strange part is if you hit the Obsession twice, like you catch them off guard with a good mind game, it just doesn't even matter because it was on cooldown. So you don't even get to use it, and then it's already gone by the time you hook them, like last time. So to fix both these problems, I'm going to make it 40 seconds now instead of 30. So you have a bit more time to pull off an actual mind game with it. And then removing the cooldown. I don't know why the cooldown's there in the first place. It only even works on one survivor, and if you hit them twice in a row, you should just get it twice. It's not going to stack. It just like resets the timer. So next up, Dead Man's Switch. The main issue with this perk is that it pretty much ruins every other good regression perk. You can't use this with Ruin, because when a gen's blocked, it won't regress. You can't use it with Pop, because as soon as the survivor leaves, it'll... you can't kick it, obviously. So, another main issue is that would only happen when the Obsession's hooked. So not only can you not run Ruin or Pop, you wouldn't even get slowdown on 3/4 of your hooks. And if you did run Ruin or Pop, you wouldn't be able to use it when you hooked the person you actually wanted to hook to get this power to activate. So no matter what, you're playing down a perk, which is just bad design. So my idea would be, it always activates on every single hook no matter what, but on a normal survivor it's only 30 seconds, so it's not super long. You have to be kind of close to a generator to harass them off of it. and then it'll be 60 seconds when you hook the obsession. So you still have that kind of, you want to go after the obsession, but you don't want to kill them off. You want to keep rotating obsessions and keep getting them hooked. Next up, deadlock. Pretty much keeping deadlock the same, but now when a generator is unblocked, it immediately loses 5% and begins regressing at the normal 1 charge every 4 second speed. My main issue with deadlock is that even when it's blocked, it's not regressing, so that doesn't really help you at all. If the blocks a regressing generator, that server couldn't even get to. And if it wasn't regressing and it becomes unblocked, you have to run all the way over there just to kick it, just to get it regressing, which is really annoying if it's on like some other side of the map. If it's like a giant map like Mother's Dwelling. So I think just having a little bit of a regression penalty built into it and automatic regressing would be nice to have, so you wouldn't have to immediately run back to the generator. It'd be a bit more of a slowdown, because it's good in tournaments, I agree. But how many games are even tournaments? Like 0.01%, so you can't balance around tournaments here. I think this would be good. I think you would actually see this more if it has some built-in regression to it, as long with the blocking. Next up, Deathbound, another terrible perk that no one uses. People probably don't know what it does. It's just when people heal, when someone heals someone else, not when they heal themselves, when they heal someone else, outside of 32 meters, they will like scream and become oblivious if they're not like 8 meters within the person they healed. This is again another perk, kind of like the one above I was talking about. What was it called? It's kind of like Blood Echo, where it has way too many requirements to even start working, so I would just suggest removing the distance requirement to begin with. It has so many weird niches and weird requirements for even proccing. I don't know why they're there. It's not even that strong. Even if you remove the distance requirement, no one's going to use it. It's not that good. Next up, Deerstalker. Pretty much a quality of life change. It just, you see the aura of all down survivors now instead of 36 meters. Just removing clutter pretty much from the perk. I don't know why you'd ever go more than 36 meters away from a slug unless you're playing like Oni or Nurse and you're just really fast. And even then, you can just go back to their general area and see them with 36 meters anyway. So, removing the 36 meters is just kind of quality of life. It's not really any stronger with that. It's just nice to have. But the main buff I'm giving it is any survivor within 4 meters of a down survivor also has their aura revealed to the killer. Now this is nice because you'd be able to see when someone's getting picked up, or if they're like about to get picked up if they're already 99, or you can actually look for an unbreakable. If you see someone just get up by themselves without getting healed, then you know it's an unbreakable. So I think that would be nice. Dragon's Grip here. Some people got kind of unreasonably terrified about this perk, Dragon's Grip. People don't really use this as a blight perk actually. This is the one not used blight perk after Blood Favor got buffed. All it does is when you kick a generator for the next 30 seconds, if someone touches it, they just get exposed for 1 minute. But then after the 1 minute, there's an 80-second cooldown for no reason. So I just suggest removing the cooldown, and that does not mean you can just kick all 7 generators and get everyone exposed at the same time. Because when you kick a generator, the perk is on cooldown while it's affected by the 30 seconds of Dragon's Grip, and then when someone touches it and gets exposed, the perk also goes on another 60-second cooldown while they are exposed. So I'm actually just removing the 3rd cooldown. This perk actually has 3 cooldowns. I'm just removing the 3rd one because there's no point to have that. It's not even that strong in the first place. It's not even good on Blight because Lethal Rush doesn't work with exposed status effects, so I'm not sure why this was even a Blight perk to begin with. But yeah, just remove the 3rd cooldown. There's really no reason to have that. Dying Light. Main issue with Dying Light is that it not only buffs the Obsession, it gives the Obsession a permanent 3-stack Desperate Measures for some reason. So they have 5 perks now. The Obsession isn't even affected by the slowdown. So you build up all these stacks and it only affects like 1 person because there's a non-obsession on the hook to get your stacks, and then you're chasing someone else's non-obsession. And then there's just one guy, the 3rd guy who's not the obsession working on a generator, and the obsession's working on a generator. But the obsession's not even affected by it, so it's only a slowdown for a single person, which is just terrible design. So I just remove the 5th perk slot it gives to the obsession and have the obsession also be affected by the slowdown. Of course, you would not gain stacks when you hook the obsession, it would still keep the sort of ignore the obsession playstyle. But now you could actually ignore them because they'll be slowed down doing generators. So I think that'd be fun. Now Eruption's next. I made Eruption much stronger, but I also gave it kind of an interesting downside. It's not much of a downside, but I think it'd be kind of interesting to see, because good players could tell if you have it just by your kicking speed. So, actually, when I first thought of this perk, when I first heard of it, I thought it actually worked this way already. So, kind of going back to the way I thought it would work. I thought it would actually be pretty good, but now it's not that good. No one uses it. Very rarely. Just some like fun killers, high tier killers are kind of messing around. That's really it. No one else really uses it. So now, Eruption slows down the speed at which you kick generators by 30%. Only generators, not pallets, not walls. You wouldn't be cucked in chase. Only generators. So it just slows you down a little bit, so it takes a little bit longer to set up your Eruption. I'm going to call them infested generators, I don't know what to call them. So pretty much when a generator is infested with Eruption, all it does is when you down someone, if no one's on that generator that's infested, it just blows up for 6% damage and starts regressing. And if someone is on the generator, they scream and they can't touch the generator for 14 seconds. It's a good, powerful perk. It's nice to have. The issue is it takes way too long to set up. It's unrealistic to go around kicking 7 generators every time you down someone. It just takes much too long. Much too long. So my idea would be, when a generator is infested, it just stays infested for the rest of the match. But again, it slows down the speed at which you kick it. So it takes a while to get it set up. Once it is set up, it's pretty strong. Now remember, this wouldn't even be that strong because you'd have to kind of sort of like Dead Man's Switch, where you kind of have to use this one instead of the other slowdown perks. You can't really use it with Pop Goes the Weasel because you can't really kick a generator when it's already regressing when you got blasted, and even a Ruin, like it only kicks off the server for like 14 seconds. It's like 7 seconds of regression. It's not a whole lot, and you can just cleanse. Ruin anyway. So maybe put on Ruin, Undying, and Eruption, but then you're just using 3 perk slots for like some sort of weird. When I down someone, there's 7 seconds of regression, which that's bad. That's not a good perk. So this would be nice just to have constantly going, but it takes longer to set up. But then it stays there for the rest of the match. I think that'd be a lot more interesting. It'd be like an interesting perk. It wouldn't be like some kind of weird gotcha perk, but then it never happens again because the killer doesn't have time to kick 5 generators every time you down someone. Next up, Fire Up, one of my favorite perks in the game. I love this perk. It's a lot of fun. I just wish it was a little bit stronger. What I like about it most is the meme potential of picking up someone super fast, and then the servers mistime their flashlight save. I always find that to be absolutely hilarious. The only issue is the numbers are not high enough. So what I like about this perk is it's the only perk in the game that actually lets you pick up and drop servers faster. Which, if you don't know, picking up and hooking servers is actually like the biggest time waster in the game for killers. If you just go into a normal match and you just time how long it takes for a killer from downing someone to picking up and then putting them on a hook, it's like at least 14-15 seconds of just moving around the map, not really doing anything else. So picking up servers and even dropping them is really nice to have. This would like pretty much de-incentivize slugging because it lets you pick them up super fast. You could just get them to the hook right away. So I'd make that, instead of 4% per token, be 10% per token. Only the pickup speed and drop speed, 10% per token. So even when a couple gens are done, you can just immediately start picking up people really fast, and towards the end you can pick them up like extremely quickly. I think that'd be a lot of fun. It'd be nice to have on. Trust me, you'd feel it. It's nice. And then to the other part of why most people use the perk, your faster vaulting and breaking speed. I'd make that 5% per token now instead of 4% per token, especially with my brutal strength buff. It'd just be nice to be 25% faster to kick pallets instead of just 20%. Because, I mean, for this perk, it sounds ridiculous. Oh, you vault windows 25% faster, but listen, you already have to lose the game. The same thing as coup de grace. You have to already lose the game to get this to work. So if you've already lost, it should be damn strong because they're about to escape. You need to catch them now, so it should be good. Next up, Forced Penance. I was kind of lost what to do with this perk. I probably went a little bit too extreme, but even then, even if you read this now, it's not even going to be overpowered. So my idea was, instead of servers that take the protection hit getting broken, they now get deep wound and incapacitated for 80 seconds. Now that is a little extreme now. The main issue with Forced Penance, there's 2 issues. Servers rarely take protection hits, almost never. And the second one is, broken is a worthless status effect because no one heals. So with this one, kind of fixes one of those problems now. It's kind of like F you if you take a protection hit, because now you have to heal. Non-negotiable. You have to heal. You're deep wounded. You absolutely have to mend, no matter what. And then the incapacitated status effect, it's pretty much just to buy the killer time. The server really can't work on gens or do anything. However, he can go in for the unhook. And most protection hits, I would say, are done while someone's getting carried and they try to like go for a sabotage save. So even then, even though they get deep wounded and incapacitated, they can still get the hook save with borrowed time and just take a hit and then get out of there. So maybe I don't know what to do with this perk. I still think even if you did this, it wouldn't be that good. People still wouldn't run it. So next up, Furtive Chase. I was even more lost on this perk than what to do for Forced Penance. I kind of just reverted this perk back to what it did in the PTB when it first came out. So right now is, whenever the Obsession is on the hook and they get unhooked by someone else, the person who did the unhooking is now the obsession. I want to go back to the PTB where it's just whenever someone unhooked anyone else, they became the obsession. This would be really good for obsession builds, because right now no one uses this perk to change obsessions. It's completely worthless for that. If you want to change the obsessions, you use Nemesis. Way easier to get a pallet stun than hooking the obsession and then waiting for someone else to unhook them. And even if someone else does unhook them, it might not even be the person you want to be the obsession next. So this would just immediately, when someone gets unhooked, that person just becomes the obsession. That'd be fun. They'd be constantly changing. If you pair that with Nemesis too, then you can also make them be oblivious, and you'd see their aura, which would be actually really fun. But then again, using 2 perk slots, so that wouldn't be amazing. And then additionally, just to kind of have a reason to even change the obsession, when you hook the obsession, you receive the undetectable status effect for 60 seconds. Now that's a long time. Maybe make it 45 seconds. I just want to make this perk like actually good, because people might actually use this now to change the obsession and to kind of be like a stealth killer. And the killers don't really have too much inbuilt stealth. So it'd be like a decent stealth perk. There's really not a lot of good stealth perks. I mean, Insidious is terrible. You shouldn't be standing still. That's how you lose the game. And then Dark Devotion, like I said, I'm buffing it, but even then, not even amazing. So this one would be kind of good. It would also be, once you know Killer has Furtive Chase, it's very predictable, because every time he gets hooked, you just know to count to 60. So that's not the most unpredictable thing in the world. Also, Gearhead, the main issue with Gearhead is that you have to use a basic attack, first of all. I really hate perks that just force you to use basic attacks for no reason, when it should just be a special attack as well. It pretty much just limits a perk to only be used by like half of the killer roster, because whenever you say it only works on basic attacks, okay, so now Huntress can't use it, Blight can't use it, Plague can't really use it if she's in Corrupt Purge, so a lot of killers just can't use it when you say it has to be a basic attack. So my idea would be, it works on a basic or special attack, and you only need 1 attack now, you don't need 2. It was so weird to have, you have to constantly get hits with basic attack only, and it takes so long to build it up. If the servers are good and you're not a strong killer and they keep running around long walls and then they go to Country and then they go to Shack and pre-drop the pallet, it takes you so long to get this working. So just 1 hit, as soon as you hit someone, it's on, and it works for 30 seconds, and there's no cooldown. But again, it doesn't stack. So if you hit someone else twice in a row, it just kind of resets the time to 30 seconds. So while it's on, anytime someone does a skill check, succeeds the skill check, the aura of the generator is yellow, as long as they're on the generator. So that'd be nice. Every time you get a hit on someone, it'd be good for like a hit and run type of killer, maybe a Wraith. I don't really like Wraiths, but for hit and run killers, maybe a Ghostface. It'd be nice to hit someone and then see what gens people are working on. Now, even that doesn't even show you what gens people are working on. It only shows you which ones that actually got a skill check. So there's a good chance that you could use this perk, and then it procs, but then you don't really see that much information until the very end. Because when I've had times where I didn't even get a skill check on a generator for like a good 45 seconds. Like, I'll do the entire thing with like 1 skill check. So yeah, I don't think this would be amazing either. But it'd be a lot better than it is right now. No one ever uses it. I've seen probably like 2 people use it, and they were both Death Slingers. One was like a level 1 baby Death Slinger, and one was like going for Adept, and that was it. So Hangman's Trick, the main issue with Hangman's Trick, I kind of like the idea. It's like an anti-sabotaging perk. It's fine for killers that want to use it that just hate being sabotaged, like right in front of their face. The only issue is Hangman's Trick just lets you know that you're getting sabotaged, but you already know you're being sabotaged because you see a survivor right next to it. People don't sabotage a hook across the map for no reason. They do it right in front of your face. So seeing this survivor's aura who's sabotaging you right in front of your face doesn't mean anything. In fact, you probably won't even see the aura because you're just looking straight at them anyway. So that's kind of pointless. So now my idea would be sabotages take an extra 2.5 seconds. I believe it's already 2.5 seconds with the perk saboteur, so it just take twice as long now. Which would be nice to have. People would actually kind of plan out a sabotage in like before you got right next to the hook, or they could take a protection hit to secure that their third teammate would actually break the hook in time. So there is some counterplay to that. It's not just ridiculous. I'm not saying make an extra 10 seconds. It's impossible to sabotage now. Just an extra 2.5 seconds, not a whole lot. If you slap on an Alex's with a hacksaw, I'm sure that will go down to like 1.5 seconds. So it's not the end of the world. And then another issue with Hangman's Trick is if people just didn't even go for sabotage plays, then you didn't have a perk anymore, which is like 90% of my lobbies. I can go in some killer matches right now, and I can just count how many times the hook's even sabotaged in order to save someone. It's probably like 1 out of every 10 games. It doesn't happen very often. Even when it does, it doesn't even work. So an additional effect would be nice to have, because most people won't even go for that. So I'm saying, since there's no perk in the game that actually makes you hook people faster when you see the progress bar when you hook someone, This perk could do that. Just make it 50% faster. It goes from 1.5 seconds, I believe, to 1 second to hook someone now. Which would be nice. It would save you a little bit of time, and that time adds up. I mean, you have extra time to look at a barbecue aura, extra time to get a pop hit, extra time to see generators with thrilling tremors. It'd just be nice to have. Additionally, this used to be like a bug that the perk had. I want to bring it back now, but not as a bug, but an actual feature. Whenever a hook's just destroyed by the entity, like when someone dies permanently, it just respawns after 30 seconds now. There's a lot of games on maybe Dead Dog Saloon or maybe even like Grim Pantry where there's no hooks. For some reason you break a hook like in the middle of the map and then you're just boned. You can't even hook someone now because there's no more hooks left. So it would be nice to have hooks to be able to respawn. Next up, Huntress Lullaby. Total meme perk. No one uses it aside from baby huntresses and Impossible Doctor skill check builds. Both of which don't really succeed. So my idea would be just make it a normal perk now. Make it a normal perk. It doesn't need to be a hex. There's no reason for it to be a hex. It's not good enough to be a hex. If a server's just looking at their screen, they're going to hit a skill check. Bad servers that miss skill checks are going to miss them anyway. And even if they are bad enough to miss skill checks, guess what? You're already going to win the game. Alright, if you're playing against baby servers that fail generator skill checks, you already won. It doesn't matter. So just make it a normal perk. Might as well. There's no reason for it to even be a hex. I don't know why it was a hex. And then next up, to make it a little bit better. So pretty much whenever a server just succeeds or fails a skill check, no matter what, pretty much if they just get one on the screen, they're oblivious for just 10 seconds. It's kind of like a lullaby, kind of putting you to sleep. You can even make it like somewhat scale with tokens. Maybe something like 2 seconds when you have 0 tokens, and then 4 when you have 1, and then it goes all the way up to like 10 seconds when you have max stacks. I think it would be kind of cool to have. Just kind of like a lullaby putting you to sleep type of feel. Next up, Hex No One Escapes Death. Now this is my least favorite perk in the game. It's completely ridiculous. I always see it used by baby wraiths that cannot get hit otherwise. My main issue with this perk is not even that it insta-downs and gives you a speed boost. It's that a killer is really bad. They could never catch you in their wildest dreams, and then all of a sudden at the end of the game, when you already kicked their ass pretty much, and already won, they just follow you with the speed boost and then down you in one hit and then face camp you in the basement. So my thing would be you just have to earn NOED now. You just have to earn it. So you only get the exposed status effect on survivors when they have already been hooked before all 5 gens are done. So if you're a normal killer and you just hook people like a normal killer, NOED's exactly the same. No changes at all. It is completely the same. If you just hooked everyone in the trial, they're all exposed now. It stays the same. But if you're a face camming Bubba that just sits in the basement and kills one guy, you're not going to have any luck using NOED. It's not going to help you. You have to actually hook people. You have to actually play the game now if you want a free kill. Next up, Hex Pentimento. Personally, I think this should just be a base killer ability. Whenever you snuff a boon totem, it now just breaks the totem completely. This would be nice because it's kind of... The main issue with Pentimento is people just boon totems, and you can never use it, ever. No one's ever going to break a totem if they're smart. So, this would be... Okay. In order to deny my power as a killer, to deny my Pentimento, you have to deny your own boon totem effect. But, if you want to place your boon totems and have a really strong infinite self-care heal in 16 seconds, I get to use my Pentimento perk and just break your totems now. But don't forget... When you break a hex with Pentimento, you're just going to be able to rebuild it. So, it's going to be back for the survivors anyway, as far as I'm aware. Next up, Hex the Third Seal. Complete trash. It's kind of like Plaything now. Blindness is not enough, especially in a comms team. It's not going to really matter. It only helps you with like slugging people. Then you can just use Knockout, so I don't know why people use this perk. It's kind of like a meme perk. So now it applies the Oblivious status effect. This kind of gives you the feeling of being like sealed off of information until you break the seal, which is the hex totem. I think is really thematic. It'd be nice. It'd be actually kind of scary now because you don't know where your teammates or the killer is. So that would be kind of good. Next up, Thrill the Hunt. Just revert it how it used to be, where it gives you a loud noise notification. Because the main difference between Thrill the Hunt and Undying used to be Thrill the Hunt's more of an active protection. You need to be nearby and you need to actively defend the totem with your own presence. And Undying was more of a passive protection. Your totem had 2 lives now instead of 1. So, and obviously Undying won that battle. No one really uses Thrill the Hunt even now. So, just give it a noise notification so that you know if someone's cleansing or blessing a hex totem. Now, people think I mean blessing any totem. No, only a hex totem. Only if they're blessing a hex totem, you'll know. So, if you want to get your stupid survivor boons across the map, you can still do that perfectly fine. It's just a little bit slower. You don't get the killer notification. Next up, Undying. I just want to have another perk that was like anti-boon. I think Undying would be nice because really all it is just a second Ruin or second Devour Hope slot. So now it has like a bit of its own power while it's active, and you just see boons when you're within 24 meters, which is the same distance that the boon's actually active. So you'd already hear the boon, but now you'd know where it is, and that'd be nice. Hysteria. Just remove the cooldown. No point even having it. I don't know why it's there. It's not even that good of a perk anyway. It's kind of annoying. We have to like purposely wait 5 seconds just to hit someone for it to proc. That's just bad perk design. You shouldn't just not hit people. I think that's kind of stupid. And if you're constantly hitting people and other people are already injured and you're just getting those hits over and over and over, you should be rewarded for that. You should be punished. I'm all ears. It's a nice perk, but a lot of times people will vault a window and then the information you get is not even that good. They can't even maybe you can't even mind game because they just vault a long wall and run immediately to the pallet, and then that's it. Or reading's gone, and they just drop a pallet on your face. So if you make it 20 seconds, you could use it much more frequently in a chase. Probably use it like twice per chase now instead of just once per chase, which would be a lot better. And they have quick and quiet, and the vault you can see it better. It'd just be a lot nicer to have. Have it be only 20 seconds. Now it would be ridiculous on Nurse. I agree. Nurse would have it for every single chase. But Nurse is just overpowered and broken. Let's be honest. She ignores every single game mechanic in the game. And she says, fuck you, you're dead. So, I would be all concerned about Nurse. Nurse needs to be looked at herself. Iron Grasp. Again, this is going to be just some quality of life decluttering. Just completely remove the wiggling effect in the other perk instead of 75%. I promise you, negating it by 75% is like the same thing as just deleting it entirely. You don't feel anything at all. You go in a completely straight line. It's fine. But then the real buff would just be make it 25% longer to wiggle out instead of 12%. Now, kind of like a little known secret, it's not even really a secret, is that Iron Grasp is just a worse agitation. Agitation, you can go further and you can go faster. So you can hook people faster and further. Iron Grasp, you can only go further, but not even further than Agitation, and you don't get the speed boost. So I want to make a difference, like a trade-off between Iron Grasp and Agitation, where Agitation, you go faster, but you don't go as far as Iron Grasp. So Iron Grasp can take people a lot further, but not as fast. And Agitation can go faster, but not as far. I think it would be really interesting. And then Surge or Jolt, I still call perks by their old names. Get used to it, I don't know, I'm just so used to it after 900 hours. Just remove the cooldown. If you're constantly downing people, you should be rewarded for that. You shouldn't be punished. Pop Goes the Weasel doesn't have a cooldown. Ruin doesn't have a cooldown. All the good killer perks only have cooldowns. Infectious Fright doesn't have a cooldown. No reason for this to have a cooldown. It already has a range requirement anyway, and has to be a basic attack. It has a third requirement for some reason. It's hallmark of a bad perk to remove one of the requirements. Remove the cooldown. Lethal Pursuer. I like this perk, but the issue is after 9 seconds, if you don't really see anything useful, you just wasted a perk slot. So if servers all spawn together and it's just where you spawn where they thought they would spawn, you don't have a perk anymore. So I think just having a little effect midway through the trial would be nice. I'd say whenever you just deal an injury state to a survivor, you see their aura for 3 seconds. That'd be nice. If you're like a plague and you barely hit someone over a long wall vault and they just like run around the wall and try to do like some weird mind game, you'd actually see where they are now instead of just being able to run away. Of course, the main issue would just be them holding W, but that's kind of more of a killer problem of killers not being able to catch up, which Beast of Prey would help out a lot. And by the way, the one that gives you the permanent speed boost. Make your choice. Same exact suggestion as Surge. Same exact reasoning. If you're constantly getting hooks and people are getting unhooked, you should be rewarded for that. There shouldn't be some weird cooldown. It's kind of a lot of people don't know this, but Make Your Choice is actually the best at level 1 because the cooldown's shorter. So a lot of people like nurses will just keep it at level 1, so they're more aggressive. Next up, Monstrous Shrine. Completely worthless perk, absolutely terrible. No one ever runs it except for like a meme Bubba Insidious build, and even that's not even that good because they can still unhook themselves and they can just kill themselves faster on the hook, so there's no point even having it. So my idea would be it's more of like a debuff when you hook someone in the basement, and it's more of like a defensive perk now instead of just F you, the one server they got hooked, you could die 9% faster. Great. So now, whenever you hook someone in the basement, it's like the same effect as Infectious Fright. Everyone nearby in 32 meters, not your terror radius, but 32 meters, will scream and reveal their location. Same thing as Infectious Fright, probably for like 5 seconds. Doesn't really matter. Whatever time is fine. And then whenever a server's unhooked, they have a 30% penalty to repairing generators and receive the broken status effect for 60 seconds. So this would be actually really tough for the survivors. They would never want to get hooked in the basement anymore with this because they would repair gens really slowly, and if they wanted to circumvent that by healing, they'd also have the broken status effect, so they could not do that. They would have to just find some other way to be useful, which would be tough. So to really help killers, it's really de-incentivize camping the basement. Because whenever you hook someone, you'd see someone else nearby with the scream, and you go over there. And when this person got unhooked, they would be really slow on generators, so you would not want to stop them. You would want to keep that one person on generators because they'd be really slow with the generator repairs. Next up, Oppression. Fun perk, cute perk, has some issues. Mostly good servers just hitting the skill check in the first place, but the automatic regression around the map is nice. I'd say just reduce the cooldown. I think the cooldown's a bit ridiculous. Obviously, it can't be 0, because the kills would just keep hitting generators over and over to have skill checks go, which would be very annoying. So make it 30 seconds, make it pair better with other perks like Thrilling Tremors and Pop Goes the Weasel. Because realistically, if you're a good killer, you're going to get a hook more than once every 80 seconds. That's if you're not getting a hook every 80 seconds, you're pretty much already losing the game. So just make it 30 seconds. Overwhelming I can't talk. Overwhelming Presence. This perk is terrible. I have no idea what to do with this perk. I really tried my best. I spent like 20 minutes trying to think of something for this perk. It's just too similar to other ones like Coulrophobia and Unnerving Presence, where it's just like some weird debuff when they're in your terror radius. I don't think we need a third perk like that. It's kind of pointless. The increased item consumption doesn't really even do anything. It's just kind of... I mean, it's kind of like... Well, the issue is, if it's good against flashlight saves, because they drain their battery twice as fast. But if you're afraid of flashlight saves, you just use Lightborn or look at a wall. It's not that hard to do. So I don't know. If someone has an idea for this, I don't know what to do. Maybe just a rework entirely. I don't want to like completely change the perk. Even when I reworked the perk, I kind of like kept its original identity and just made it like a better power idea. But this one, I have no idea what to do. So next up, Predator. No, I agree with people who said you don't make mechanics based on starting a chase, because starting a chase is kind of like weird. Sometimes you'll start a chase with servers you don't even see, and sometimes you'll be chasing someone like you're right there, like 2 feet ahead of them, and they won't start the chase for some reason. But I didn't really have a better idea for this perk, so the first part of it is just when you start a chase, their aura is revealed for 10 seconds. It kind of moves like some weird mind game when you start a chase, and they like crouch in a cornfield, because people like me are just blind and can't see anything. So that would be nice to have. Maybe a little strong, maybe make it like 5 seconds, maybe make it some other way to proc rather than starting a chase. But you don't want to be like Lethal Pursuer. Lethal Pursuer is getting a hit, so this one can't be when you get a hit. So it has to be something else. But the thing I like more about this perk is, additionally, the footsteps are now 100% ladder that survivors make. Now, I come from a Counter-Strike background, CSGO. I love listening to footsteps. Being able to tell where people are is really nice. And I hate that footsteps are like extremely quiet in this map, unless you're on like a Grim Pantry or Pale Rose. It is just dead silent, especially if they're like, in what's it called, like Bad Ham. It's like just the grass, on just like the grass floor. The footsteps are so quiet, it's hard to tell where they are. So just doubling the sound of footsteps would be really nice to have. Next up, Remember Me. I like this perk, it's just not strong enough. The main issue is that you can hit up the Obsession a bunch of times, so it takes like almost twice as long to open the exit gate, and it's just 16 seconds, so it's 36 instead of 20. Then the Obsession just opens the gate, and then there's no slowdown at all. So just remove that from the game. Everyone's slowed down by it. You can't have your Survival Defense Calm team just tell the Obsession to open the gate, so that the killer's screwed, doesn't have a perk slot anymore, especially if it takes that long to build up. And additionally, an even better ability, and this would really put a stick in 99ing the exit gates, which I find to be kind of annoying. Yeah, it's in the game, it's fine. I'm not going to get pissed off about it. I get why it's there. But I think this perk would be a good counter to that and be like a good addition to endgame builds. Especially since most endgame builds use No Way Out now instead of Remember Me. So my idea would be the exit gates actually regress now, the same speed as generators. They lose 1 charge every 4 seconds. So every 4 seconds, it goes down 1 second. So you can like sort of 99 the gates if you're kind of close to the hook, or you just station one guy on the exit gate lever who's constantly opening it to stop it from regressing. I think that would be cool. Or you can make exit gates only regress to like 80% of the progress to just stop it from being 99, but it doesn't like go all the way down to 0. Whatever works is fine. I think it'd be nice to have, be good endgame build perk. So next up, a Scourge Hook, Gift of Pain. The main issue with this perk is that people would just get unhooked and then just not heal. If they're a good server, they're just not going to heal. It doesn't really matter. They don't really care. Good servers don't heal. They have Resilience. They have Dead Hard. They have Iron Will. They're not going to heal. And you only really need help against the good servers. The bad servers, you don't need help. You don't need perks for. You're already going to kill them. So my idea would be the 9% generator repair penalty is just when you get unhooked. Just when you get unhooked. You don't need to heal. It's just when you get unhooked. there is a repair penalty. This would be a pretty good slowdown perk. Because remember, it's a scourge hook. It's not just every single hook. It's only in 4 hooks on the map. And if you get Grim Penetrates all the way across the map in some corner next to a Pogalog, you're not going to get there. You're not going to have a perk anymore. So this is a pretty RNG-based perk. Not going to be super strong. 9% is not even a lot. It's just a reverse resilience. It's about 7 seconds extra on the generator. Not super good. And that penalty does not go away until the survivor is put into the dying state now. Instead of being injured again, it's just when they put in the dying state. So they're kind of screwed with it now when they get this repair penalty. But remember, if they have resilience, it cancels out. So there's not even a repair penalty if they have resilience. And even if they don't, an extra 7 seconds for a generator. Not the end of the world for them. Shadowboard, I love this perk. I love the increased FOV. I like being able to see around myself really well. The issue is, it's just FOV. So a lot of times you don't really get that much benefit out of it. So I want to keep the FOV. So you keep the extra 15 FOV. That's fine. I love that about the perk. But there's an extra bonus. And this would be like a very, very interesting, fun addition to other aura reading perks. So this would be like a good on an aura reading build for killers. So pretty much, let me explain it this way. If you hook someone with barbecue and chili, a lot of good survivors are just going to sit behind a generator and you cannot see their aura at all. It's just completely blocked by the generator. No matter what kilo the generator even is, it's blocked. So the survivors can just hide behind it. They don't need lockers. They don't need to sit next to you. Any good survivor is just going to sit behind a generator and keep repairing it. So my idea would be, whenever a survivor has their aura revealed, if they're next to a generator, like right next to it, 4 meters, the generator is hidden. So you don't see the aura of the generator anymore. So survivors can no longer hide behind generators to stop their aura from being revealed. For any perk or anything. So for Nurse's Calling, it would do it. Barbecue and Chili, it would do it. I'm All Ears, it would do it. So every perk that shows an aura, it would block the generator that's nearby the server that's being revealed. I think this would be really interesting. It would work with other perks. It wouldn't really work by itself. By itself, it would just be the increased FOV. But if you use it with barbecue and chili and some other perks, it'd be really nice to have. Next up, Spirit Fury. The main issue is when you get stunned by a pallet, it breaks instantly. That's fun. That's nice. The issue is when you get stunned by a pallet, they have enough distance to just run to the next one. So it's completely pointless. It's nice to have. Some idea would be whenever you're stunned by a pallet at all, just stunned by it. It doesn't need to be the Spirit Fury proc. You can pass a 10% faster recovery speed from pallet stuns up to 30%. So it'd have a bit of a built-in enduring, like about midway through the game, once you get it. It also kind of encourage you to get stunned by the pallets more. To kind of trick them into thinking you don't have it, and then you break it out at the last second. Another issue is Spirit Fury is that if you do run it with Enduring, it's really strong, but now you're using half your perk slots into like a couple of hits. Because really, how often does Spirit Fury Enduring proc, especially when they know you have it? They just pre-drop pallets. So I think this would be a lot better to be able to run on just by itself instead of having some other perk to be like obligated to run with it. Next up, Starstruck. Just a little bit of a boost. Make it only 30-second cooldown instead of 60 seconds. I think a full minute for waiting for Starstruck to come back is another issue with like Thrilling Tremors and Surge, where it's just you have to like purposely just stare at a server on the ground for like 5 seconds while you just wait for it to come back. Obviously, it can't be 0 seconds, otherwise killers could just pick someone up and then drop them and pick them up and drop them. So it has to be a cooldown. I know that. Okay, I'm not an idiot. So just make it 30 seconds, so it's not as obnoxious. You pretty much get it on every hook instead of just like every other hook. It works. Next up, Strider, after it got completely ruined and is worthless now. I think it'd be more interesting to track the breathing of healthy survivors now. Instead of being used to track injured survivors, it should be able to track healthy survivors, and you can use Bloodhound to track injured survivors now. So a bit of a switch. So now breathing sounds of survivors are 100% louder, so twice as loud. Not super loud, but you're able to hear them, especially Fang Mins, which I find for some reason are like really loud for no reason, even kind of a meg. You'll be able to hear them a lot better now. You could track them, maybe in a loop better. Just a little bit of a boost to make Strider actually used, because the only reason Strider was ever used was on Spirit to track injured people, and that's completely gone now, because Iron Will is just buffed. Next up, my next idea, Surveillance. I love Surveillance, I love the perk. My main issue is sometimes you're in a chase and you don't even realize that someone goes on a generator that you kicked and you don't even see it. You don't even know that it's being worked on now. So you kind of like lose a good portion of that because now you just see the generator's red and you don't know if someone started working on that like 17 seconds ago when it just turned red or 45 seconds ago and it's almost done now. So my idea would just be sort of like Nurse's Calling now. I even have a video for this one where you just get a sound effect when someone touches the generator and it turns to yellow. I can just play the sound effect now. I'll make that a little louder. That's extremely quiet. Yeah, something like that. Just a little camera sound would be nice. Scroll me down all the way. Yeah, a little camera sound would be nice to have. Just to know that someone is working on the generator now. I still don't think that would be overpowered. I don't think that would be ridiculous now. I don't think everyone would run it. I think a couple killers would run it now. It'd be nice to have. Next up, I was gonna start on this perk. So territorial imperative, completely worthless. No one ever uses it. It just reveals someone's aura when they go to the basement. But I don't know why people just willingly go into the basement. And even if you're doing like some weird like Bubba camping basement build, it doesn't even work if you're next to the basement. So if you're trying to actively defend it, it doesn't work anyway. So what's the point? You catch like one guy who went for the basement chest. Thanks. That helps a lot. So my idea would be, it would be more like a delayed lethal pursuer. So whenever Survivor just begins working on a generator, that's at 0 progress. The aura is revealed for you for 10 seconds. It could be less, it could be like 5 seconds or so. Maybe even add a sound effect. I think it'd be more interesting without a sound effect, so you actually like actively look around. Now remember what I said about Shadowborn. If you're not using Shadowborn, they can just hide behind the generator's aura. Especially if this becomes a meta perk and people start to expect it. They'll easily just hide behind a generator, or they will, what do you call it? Use distortion to block it, or they'll, if they're in a comp, they'll like purposely go on one generator with one guy so the killer goes over there, and then 3 other people go on to some other generator. So I think it'd be nice to have like a delayed lethal pursuer, and have like a little bit better information that doesn't just show you where everyone is immediately, but you know like where they're going after they already get to their destination. Next up after that, since that goes away pretty quickly, unless you have like Ruin maybe that keeps kicking those gens back to 0% progress. When a server is like within 8 meters of a hook server, you see the killer missing notification. This would mostly just be nice, just know when someone's coming back for the unhook. I mean, sure, I guess it helps face camping killers, but guess what, guys? Face camping killers lose the game. It takes way too long to face camp someone to death. The servers are just going to do all the generators in this game. I guess if they're proxy camping, that'll help. But even if they're proxy camping, you can just still do the generators anyway. Unless they're like really just pushing it and they can just sneak by and get it. I mean, 8 meters of a hook server, that's literally a 2-second warning. 2 seconds. At that with like average human reaction time to be able to turn around, that's like a 1.5-second warning. So it's not the end of the world. Thanatophobia, just make it 6% per survivor. It underperforms a little bit. It's decent, but 5%, especially if people start healing now with Circle of Healing, it really starts to drag. It's not super strong, unfortunately. So just make it 6%. Pretty easy change, just a little bit stronger. I still think only like Legions and Plagues would use it, but it'd be nice to have. Thrilling Tremors, same issue as Surge, same issue as Starstruck. It's really weird when you want to proc this perk and you kind of just stare at a dead guy on the ground for like 5 seconds and then pick them up. Because 60 seconds is way too long. I get hooks much faster than once every 60 seconds, and you don't get to use the perk. It's even worse when you down someone, there's like 5 seconds left, and then you accidentally pick them up because you think it recharged already, and then you just don't even have the perk anymore, you don't know where to go. So just make 40 seconds. Obviously it can't be 0 seconds like Starstruck, because then people could just drop, pick up, drop, pick up, drop, pick up, and just have the gens blocked for like a minute and a half. So, yeah, just make it 40 seconds. I think that'd be a nice change. Trail of Torment, same thing. Not even that strong. It's just when you kick a generator, you get undetectable until people touch it. Just make it 30 seconds. 80 seconds is ridiculous. It takes way, way, way too long to come back for not even a good effect. If people know you have it, and they know how to take it away from you. And even with that undetectable status effect, remember Trail of Torment, if you just swing your weapon and even just miss, if you just swing it, it goes away. So, yeah, even has that downside to it too. Don't forget about that. Unnerving Presence, it's like a meme perk anyway. It's an outdated perk from people who used to actually miss skill checks. So I think you just make it a little bit harder, make it like 80% smaller, and then remove the great skill check. So it'd be like as big as like a decisive strike skill check. It's even that hard to hit, but just make it a little bit better. Make it worth running. It's just such a bad perk. I don't know what to do with it, but it's so old. I didn't want to like completely change it. Unrelenting, terrible perk right now, which decreases your miss attack cooldown. But here's the thing: you should not be missing attacks as a killer. So yeah, occasionally you get spun or something, or like maybe you're a hag and you teleport to the wrong trap and swing. It happens, but good killers are not gonna be missing their attacks more than like once per game. So reducing a cooldown of a missed attack only is not that good. So my idea would be, it would kind of be like a different version of, what's it called? Save the best for last. It'd be more like a combo attack perk. So whenever you hit someone for the first time, it's just a normal attack cooldown. Then for the next 45 seconds, Unrelenting turns on. And for the next 45 seconds, if you hit or miss an attack, the cooldown's reduced by 20%. This doesn't stack, it doesn't go to like 100% cooldown. It's just for 45 seconds. And this would be nice to have if you could like just shred through people. Maybe like two people are trying to unhook right in front of you, so you hit one and then you get the faster attack speed to hit the other one, and then you're just a lot faster now. So like the first guy you hit, this wouldn't even work on. You have to hit two people in a row to get it to start working. But there would be no cooldown. So if you hit someone twice in a row, it would just refresh the 45 seconds. It wouldn't stack, it would just refresh the time. And yeah, that is everything right now. People have left comments, mostly telling me that these are bad, which is fine. That I expected that. It's Dead by Daylight forums. I'm talking about killers too, and survivor is just survivor based here, and that's just fine. But maybe I'll make another video talking about other perks in the game, and maybe respond to some of the comments. Some of the comments were pretty good. I think it'd be kind of cool to have someone else on a voice comms who disagrees with me, and we could actually talk about these perks. So a lot of times they'll say something, and I won't even really understand the argument, or the argument's like weak and just doesn't really make any sense. You can dissect it in 10 seconds. But anyways, thank you for watching. I hope this was informational for the 3 people who watched it.